Hi, my name is Rod Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome to another edition of How to Build Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Rod Khleif, and I am absolutely thrilled that you're here. And you are going to love today's guest. His name is Brad Lee, and Brad is a sales expert. He's a sales training expert. He's this brash, cigar-chomping luminary in the sales space, and I'm super excited to have him on the show. Welcome, brother.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
You've got an awesome bio, and I know you've got an incredible training program for sales. And so my listeners might be like, why you got a sales guy on your multifamily podcast? It's not an operator talking about syndications and raising money and all that. No, because sales, life is sales. You sell your family. It's really influence. You influence your family, your investors, your brokers, your sellers. And so I'm really thrilled to have you on the show today, brother. Maybe we can start by having you talk a little bit about a little better bio than I gave you, and talk about where you came from, and then some of the companies you've worked with, and just time to brag. Talk about you for a minute.
Well, you just said something that I think hopefully resonated with a lot of people, because if you're wondering why a sales expert is on a podcast for multifamily investors, et cetera, then you really need to rewind and hear what he just said, because man, you hit it on the mark. Dude, life is sales. A lot of people don't understand that they're in sales, even though, they are. I mean, right. We've been selling since the day we were born. Everyone is a salesperson. And the difference between a good one and a bad one is the bad one doesn't know they're doing it. So if you just realize that you are doing it, folks, you are doing it, no matter what. You're doing it to get your kids to clean their room, get better grades. You're doing it to figure out where you're going to go eat that night. You're doing it every second of every day. And the only differential between good and bad is the bad ones don't know they're doing it. So now that you know you are doing it, let's get good at it. So to give you a little background on me, at 6 years old, I was given a box of candy bars. Let's say 7, because it was around first grade, second grade. I was given a box of candy bars to go home and hopefully peddle to my family and get 10, 12 of them sold and come back with the money. That's what the school did every year to raise that cash. So ultimately they sent little Brad home with a box of 24 world's finest chocolates. I went home, pitched it all to the fam bam, got them to buy as much as I could, and there was still some left. So I decided to go out and freaking knock on some doors. Well, within about 3 or 4 doors, I realized that, this onesie twosie crap wasn't going to work. So ultimately, I developed a pitch. So the next door, I knocked on the door, I put the box behind my back, and I said, do you know the phone number to a good roof repairman? They'd be like, what? And I'd say, do you know the phone number to a good roof repairman? Because when you taste one of these, you're going to go through the roof.
No, you didn't. Did you really?
Yes, I swear to you.
Freaking awesome.
And these families, these people at the door see this little kid with that pitch, and I'm telling you, they started buying boxes at a time. I literally set a record for selling the candy bars. All the other candy bars the other kids couldn't sell, they were given to me. So I was just hitting the neighborhoods with one pitch, man. You got the phone number to a good roof repairman. So at 6 years old, I kind of had the gift of gab. Ultimately, didn't know it, but ultimately, just naturally was good at sales. So until I was 17, I was just closing the girls and, closing my friends and, closing my parents and closing my teachers, but I didn't realize it. And then at 17, I decided to get a real job. My whole family was blue collar workers. They told me, go get a real job. So I went out and I got a job fighting forest fires, or at least I thought. So I show up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get there. They basically point at this backpack filled with water. They called it a piss bag. And I'm supposed to put it on and walk up and down the mountains and squirt the stumps that are still smoldering. Now I pictured I was going to be this Paul Bunyan looking sumbitch with an open flannel shirt and dust on my face and, walking around with a, looking all badass, but no, I was a piss bag operator. So ultimately what that taught me is, manual labor is garbage. And so I hated it. Like I was getting poison oak, there was just sticks poking me in the eye. It was no fun. And I thought to myself, dude, this is it. So I went home that day, or I actually quit because I got poison oak, and the guy said it was part of the job. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I quit and I went and got a job, opened up the newspaper, and there was a job for selling cars. So I ultimately walked into a car dealership, started kicking everyone's ass from day one, and just fell in love with the game of sales. I mean, people are coming to you, and all you have to do is build a relationship and solve their problems. And I started making a ton of money, and that led to becoming very, very good at it. So ultimately, there was a Mexican dude in the back of this dealership I was running, hardworking dude, cool as hell, great kids. The whole thing was, man, he was just a good dude, right? You ever meet those guys that are just like really good dudes?
Yeah.
So this is one of those dudes, but he was making minimum wage, busting his ass. I said, dude, let me teach you how to sell and bring you up front and let you show you how to close deals. So I taught him how to close deals. And in about 3 months, he was making like 15 grand a month.
Wow.
Literally changed his whole,
yeah.
It was life-changing for him. And it made a huge impact in his life and his family's life. And the transformation that I witnessed told me one day, like, dude, you've got the ability to help people make more money and live better lives. What are you doing at this car dealership? So I quit my job, went out on the road, and I started training people how to close. The crazy part was when I worked at the dealership, I was able to grab someone out of Burger King, boom, make them good salespeople. I mean, I could produce a good salesperson and a great sales manager very, very quickly. When I quit my job to do it full time for myself, I couldn't get the results, and I was kind of stupefied. I'm like, what the hell? So I realized that I needed to do a little research, and I found 4 key ingredients, Rod, that if they're not involved in a training program, you don't really have a training program, you have an exposure program. So ultimately, I discovered good content, repetition, practice, and accountability. See, when I worked at that dealership, I was giving the people the good content with repetition all day, every day. I was holding them accountable. I was practicing with them. But when I went out on the road for myself, there was no repetition, there was no practice, and there was no accountability. So it didn't work as well. And that's when I discovered, holy crap, dude, all these people and businesses are out in the world training people ineffectively, and they don't even realize it. So I developed a platform for myself, which is called Lightspeed VT. And then that technology started working. I was selling training again. I got up to, 100,000 a month in income. And then I ran into competition. People use Zig Ziglar, John Maxwell, Grant Cardone, Joe Verdi, all of these other people. And I couldn't convince them. I couldn't close them, which is what was my goal. And so I just realized to myself, I'll bet you these people are having the same problem I am. So why don't I go and show them my platform and see if I can get their content on my platform, and then I could close this deal. So ultimately, I went and started closing Tony Robbins, Zig Ziglar, Damon John, Grant Cardone, UFC, Top Chef. I started closing all these big deals to use my platform. And I thought, well, dude, I'll just bail out of the training space and focus on this training technology I accidentally developed. And dude, that's how I started making the millions and getting a little bit of attention, hanging around these big wigs. And then the next thing you know, I started developing, 10,000 followers. Then that turned into 90,000. Then that turned into 180,000. It just keeps growing.
Nice.
And I sit back and I ask myself, how did I get here? And the answer is one answer: the ability to sell, close, and persuade, influence. That's what got me here. So if you're out there, in the multifamily business, you're basically trying to create passive income. Yeah. You're trying to create, obviously highly intelligent model. Grant Cardone got me very familiar with multifamily investing. And I'll tell you, until I started looking and understanding how the multifamily industry works, I was an idiot. Yeah. So you guys already listening to this are already doing the right thing, or you wouldn't even be on this podcast. So good for you. Anyway, that's my little background. And
No, that's fascinating, brother. I mean, really, I love the roof, blow the roof off story. That's freaking awesome. Well, if you don't mind, let's go a little bit micro as to, I get a lot of analytical people get into the multifamily space. They're former IT executives or they're in the IT space. And so they're a little more introverted. And you are the antithesis of that, as evidenced by your selling when you were 7 years old. Do you mind talking about confidence a little bit? Because I'm actually doing a course on this called Courage and Confidence, but it's not done yet. I hope to finish it soon, but I'd love to get your insights on it. On confidence. Do you mind speaking about that for a minute?
No, not at all. In my book, confidence is just the memory of winning. You get really confident when your memory serves you well in regards to the ability you have in any particular field. So if you take, what is confidence then? Well, confidence is the memory of winning. So why aren't people confident? Well, then they haven't won enough. So what I try to tell people, number one, is for years, you have this recording going on in your subconscious mind. You've procrastinated, you've let yourself down, you've set goals and didn't reach them. And ultimately, those are losses subconsciously, which means below your awareness. Those are losses. If you say, I'm going to make $1 million this year, or I'm going to buy 4 units or, 4 properties, and you buy 3 properties, is that a win or a loss? Well, that's a loss. So your subconscious mind is recording all these losses. I don't think most people are aware, but they really don't think that they deserve success. They don't have any confidence. So again, the confidence to me means more a lack of belief in yourself, right? So confidence would be believing in yourself.
How do you build it? How do you build it, buddy?
Well, first thing you got to do is what I call the sacred 6. Number one, you got to forgive yourself from all the crap you've ever put yourself through and others. So you just apologize and forgive yourself. Number 2, you commit to do what you say you're going to do. From that day forward, you always do what you say you'll do. If you're getting anxious right now, it's probably because you already know yourself. But once you commit to doing what you say you're going to do, to relax, just remember that you get to decide what you agree to do. So just don't agree to as much, but always do what you say you're going to do. Then number 3 is you rack up the wins. Set 5 or 10 small goals every single day that you can achieve. And because of the rule number 2, you just committed to do what you say you're going to do. Say you're going to do 5 things that you'll do, and start racking up those wins. And then what happens after about 30, 60, 90 days is you actually start sitting up a little straighter. You start to walk a little taller. And ultimately, people are going to start noticing that you're different. And the reason they're going to say you're different is because, believe it or not, you're actually starting to build confidence. You're starting to build self-worth. And ultimately, when you do that, you start to feel like you deserve more. And you start to act like you deserve more and talk like you deserve more. And then other people are going to get very uncomfortable. So step 4 is to remove the negativity and get rid of the haters, because they're going to come, and sometimes you'll be surprised that they're very close to you. And you can always, they'll stand out like a sore thumb, because they'll say things like, Rod, dude, who do you think you are, bro? Like, oh, you're too good for us now. Like Rod, oh, you don't have time anymore for me, dude. What's the problem? They want you to stay the same. So you got to eliminate those. And then 5 is visualize what it is you're trying to accomplish. See, I would say the biggest problem with most people is they don't know what they want in the first place. It's harder to figure out what you want than get it. Most people, if you ask them, what does success look like to you? They look up and think, because they've never really thought about it. Well, you have to know exactly what you want. So step 5 is visualize exactly what you want, exactly and specifically, and start to believe and feel what it's like to be where it is you want to be. Then number 6 is seek knowledge, because most people don't understand. If you want to change what you're getting, you have to change what you're doing. If you want to change what you're doing, you have to change your beliefs, because your beliefs cause you to choose and act the way you do. And the choices you make and the actions you take determine the results. So if you want to change what you're getting, you have to change what you're doing. And in order to change what you're doing, you have to change what you believe. And the only way to change what you believe is to enter more information into the old computer. You have to seek knowledge every day, because the only thing that changes your mind is new information.
Yeah.
So if you do what I just said for 60 to 90 days, you're going to literally start to actually feel like you deserve more. You're going to start making different decisions. You're going to make different choices. And then people are going to, pretty soon, they're going to start to say, Rod, why are you so confident? Mm-hmm. And you're going to look back and you're going to go, holy moly, you know, and it's different than arrogance, confidence, certainty, belief, self-worth. You start to value your own opinion more than you value other people's opinion. And that's when I think you have confidence. That's the confidence, at least, that I'd like to, you know, show people how to, you know, attain for themselves. Because prior to me being confident in the way I just described, I used to be more arrogant, right? Mm-hmm. My ego was big because deep down inside,
you're scared.
I had no confidence. Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow. That's really glad you shared that, man. And I love those 6 things. You forgive yourself, you commit, you know, then you remember the wins. You capture them somehow, you journal them, whatever. So you have this menu of things to feel good about. You remove the negative, the naysayers that are always there. And they're there because they're fearful. You know, they're afraid of losing you, or they're afraid of feeling, you know, less than because you're successful, or whatever the reason is. But the number 5 is really huge. If you don't know what the hell you want, how the heck are you ever going to get it? And that's why that's one of the first things we do at my events is we go through and get as much clarity as possible as to what it is you want, because there's no way you're going to get it otherwise. And then, of course, you know, competence by seeking knowledge is going to increase your confidence. And so love it, man. Absolutely love it. Exactly what I was looking for. So I know you did a little piece on hacking your subconscious. Do you mind elaborating on that? I thought that was I didn't have a chance to watch it when I was researching, meeting you, but does that resonate with you? Do you remember doing that?
Well, I talk about the subconscious a lot because I believe that the subconscious mind is really what most people face as their biggest problem. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I think it's been recording you for your whole life. So part of hacking the subconscious mind is to realize that it's below your awareness. So what you have to mess with is your conscious and your awareness. So the more you're aware, the better you are off, actually, obviously. So as far as hacking your subconscious mind, you rack up the wins. You almost trick it. In other words, just pretend it's a recorder that's recording everything. Every time you think to yourself, I'm going to start a diet on Monday, and Monday you don't, you know, it recorded. Loser, liar, thief, cheat. You're bullshitting that person.
Yeah, fascinating.
You know, so the way I hack mine is to consciously do what I say I'm going to do consciously. Mm-hmm. You know what kind of freaking esteem that starts to build, dude. I'll do what I say I'll do. If I say I'll do it, Rod, I'll do it. How does that feel?
Yeah.
So you start to hack your subconscious by literally being more intentional with your conscious.
It ties into your sacred 6, really. You know, so, and, you know, the subconscious is so freaking powerful. I was just telling my coaching students last night that, you know, I have this thing called a pilot's pen. It's this pen that lights up at night, because sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll be in a half awake state and I'll come up with some fantastic ideas. So I've always got a notebook there, and I've got this pen that lights up so I don't wake up my wife, and I capture this stuff that's, you know, getting fed to me from my subconscious. You know, and so thank you. So talk about how you feel about the law of attraction. What are your thoughts on that?
I think most people get it wrong. I truly believe in it, but I think most people get it wrong because they fail to add the emotion, right? Mm-hmm. The feeling. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So
yeah, gratitude.
You can't just exactly the gratitude and the emotion and the feeling attached to what you're trying to attract. You have to feel it. See, most people, they get these 3 wrong. Most people are going to say, you know, have, do, be. or do, have, be. When in reality, it's be. You have to be the person, right? Most people think you have to do something to be something. No, you be something in order to do something. But be, do, have.
Let me add something to that, if you don't mind. One of the exercises we do at my events is I have people visualize their perfect day, as if, from the minute they get up, when they go to bed, literally everything they do, if it was their perfect day, they are living the life of their dreams, because then, and then they can feel that being, and associate with it, and it pulls them into it, you just reminded me of when I do my visualization. Sometimes I'll sit and I'll do gratitude for these things that I want as if I already have them. And sometimes I'll get freaking emotional over things I don't even have yet, because I'm feeling it, I'm being it, like you just described. What a great way to describe it. Yeah,
that's the key right there.
Yeah,
that's the key right there. See, most people miss that. So when it comes to law of attraction, number one, it's 100% real in my book.
Oh yeah.
But at the end of the day, most people that start to read about it, they read the surface, they don't really understand. They start to think, okay, I want this jet. I want this jet. And then 6 years later, they still don't have a jet. And they're like, yeah, that shit doesn't work. Well, did you feel what it would be like? Did you feel what it feels like to have a bird at the airport to take off whenever you want? Do you know the color of the carpet? Do you know what the seats were made out of? What did it smell like when you went into it every single day? What did it feel like to know that you could be wheels up in 10 minutes? If you say, I don't know, I didn't go that far, then you didn't create the vibration the universe is waiting for.
It's got to be sensory. It's got to be sensory. Smell, hear, touch, feel, see. It's got to be all of that. And it's funny you said jet, because that happens to be one of mine. And I'll sit and I'll visualize taking off, looking at my wife, smiling, because we've got this incredible resource, or this incredible avenue to travel in, and it, just like you described, and you're really articulating it well. You've got to engage all of your senses, and when you do, it becomes real. And the more real it is, and the more clear it is, the more clarity it has, the faster it comes into being. So awesome.
Well, let me just make a point to people listening as well. If you think it doesn't work, if you're one of those people, it's only because you haven't done it.
Right.
The only people that don't believe in the law of attraction are the ones that have never done it. And the reason they've never done it is because they don't believe.
Right. No, agree completely, man. Yeah, no question. So talk about how you either train or learn and grow, as if there's some if there's some psychology around that, or some methodology around that, or maybe even incorporate how successful people really get what it is that they want. Can you speak? It's kind of two things, but.
Yeah, I mean, these are obviously just my opinions, but how do I learn and grow, and how do people get what they want? Well, number one, they first identify what that is, and then they put in the work. That's why they call it work, because it works. So at the end of the day, I mean, how do you get what you want? You decide to. That's really all it is you make a decision to get what you want. The question isn't, is it possible? Of course it's possible. The question is how is it possible? And you need to start asking yourself, how do I do what I want to do? How can I get what I need to get? How can I go where I need to go? And then you as a human being are naturally wired to find answers. Your brain is wired to find answers. The problem is most people aren't asking the right questions. So I would start there. But as far as how I learn, every single day I've got these habits. I call it the $1 million morning. And ultimately what I do is I wake up every morning. The first second I open my eyes, I remember that waking up is worth more to me than $1 million, maybe even $10 million, maybe even $100 million. And if you start to think like that, you're like, what does he mean? Well, if I said, I'll give you $1 million cash right now, how would you feel? Most people be like, oh, elated. They start to smile. They start to feel, by the way, there's that feel word. They start to feel like, oh, that would be unbelievable. Well, then I say, would you rather wake up tomorrow morning and keep on living, or would you rather get the $1 million and not wake up tomorrow? They're like, well, obviously I'd rather wake up. Okay, then you just admitted that waking up, just the simple thing of waking up, is worth more than $1 million, but yet you don't wake up with that same enthusiasm as if you just received $1 million. So I call it the $1 million morning, because when I wake up, I want gratitude instantly. Like real gratitude. And when I open my eyes, man, I'm telling you, the first thing I think about every morning when I wake up my eyes is I just got something more valuable than $1 million. A smile comes across my face and I bolt out of bed looking to attack the day, even if it's a tough day ahead. Because if you think about it, waking up, right, means that it's already a great day. The question is how much better will it get?
Right. Yeah, so no, that's awesome.
So I wake up with that gratitude, and then I focus on 4 key areas every single day. I focus on my health. Even if it's running in place, I got to get the heart rate up and have at least one healthy meal, drink my greens, whatever, take my vitamins. So I focus on my health. Then I focus on relationships, because folks, relationships is the key. The more people you know, the more people that trust you, like you, know you, the more opportunities you have. The more hands you shake, the more money you make. Right. You might want to write that one down. Like, just remember, the more hands you shake, the more money you make. How many hands did you shake yesterday? Some people are none. I went to work, went home. Okay, go out and meet some people. Build relationships. So every day I focus on relationships simply by writing down 5 names of people that I'm going to reach out to that day and literally just say, hey, I appreciate you, thinking about you. What can I do for you? Send them an article, but I'm going to touch 5 people a day. Nice. Then I focus on how do I drive revenue every day? And I write down 5 things that I can do today before going to bed that will drive revenue, because money's important. And then the last thing I do, which is really to your question, how do I learn? I pick up a book or a podcast or a video of some kind, and I literally study minimum 15 minutes every morning on new information. It's not, Moby Dick. It's all nonfiction, biographies, how-tos, self-development type of stuff. And every single day I'm feeding new information into my head, and every single day I start to shift my perspective. I start to think a little bit differently. I haven't considered that before. Hey, that's going to solve that problem. And I just keep, quote unquote, developing. So that's how I learn and grow, is I just read and consume knowledge. I consume conversations, podcasts, webinars, seminars, books, programs. I don't really care, every day. Yeah. Intentionally. Most people don't. They go throughout their day, they go to bed. 2 years goes by, you say, how many books have you read? And their answer is none. And it's like, you haven't read any books. Like, if I could change one thing going back to the past, I didn't start reading books till the last couple of years, man. I wish I'd have been reading books since I was 20 years old. Yeah. Yeah. I'd be a billionaire already if I would have been reading voraciously for 20 years.
No question. Yeah, no question. I love it. Back to your networking thing, I sit and I think about my students, and I've got hundreds across the country, and absolutely the most successful ones are the ones that get out there and meet other people the most aggressively, without question.
Of course.
What was that second thing you said after shaking hands, or the 5 people? What was the thing you said after that? Because I was going to touch on that and I didn't capture.
Well, the $1 million morning is wake up with the gratitude. You got more than $1 million. Focus on your health. Focus on your relationships, focus on what drives revenue that day, and focus on learning something new.
Yeah. Love
it. That's the $1 million morning.
Love it. Yeah. Gratitude is the most foundational emotion, the most powerful emotion we have in our lives. So I'm really glad you started with that. Love it. So, and is that the answer to my question around how successful people get what they want? Was that how you answered it?
No, I think successful people get what they want by identifying what it is, and then doing the work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dude, there's no answer that hasn't already been given. That how people succeed is they identify what that looks like, and then they do the work successfully and consistently.
Consistently is an operative word there as well. So let me ask you this. Let's shift gears for a minute. In your career, can you can you remember any aha moments? I mean, I think you mentioned a couple as part of your, introduction here, but anything else come to mind? It was just like, wow, that's what I needed to hear right now.
Well, I had a big aha moment with multifamily property and realizing, how cash flow assets work. I'll tell you right now.
And the tax benefits, especially for someone like you, man. No question.
It never ends.
Right.
The equity growth. I mean, historically, properties have usually doubled every 10 years.
Right.
Usually.
Right. They don't pay taxes. That's the thing that's amazing about it. Well, we'll see what happens.
That's like a bonus even. Right. I mean, just to me, the vehicle of multifamily is incredible. I had an aha moment when I was hanging out with Grant Cardone for a little while 4 or 5 years ago. And I was watching him just make hundreds of millions of dollars in multifamily, really. Yeah. And I'm like, that was an aha moment. It's like, damn, dude, I've been doing it wrong, fool. I've been blowing money like an idiot.
Let me ask you, this multifamily space is a team sport like we talked about. And, you've put together a great team. Can you speak to team building a little bit if you have any thoughts on that? And if not, we can move on to something else. But I was just curious if you had some thoughts on team building.
Rod, I got thoughts
putting a team around you
about everything.
What's that?
I got thoughts about everything.
All right. Well, let's hear it then. Awesome.
Team building. My thought would be focus on the culture and make sure that your expectations are clear and that your core values are clear, and make sure that you use those as your magnet. Because again, if you are the leader and you lay out your core values, and let's say you have someone that's going to be great on the team, but their core values aren't aligned, well, then they're not going to be great on that team. And here's what I've learned about building a team. Don't worry about those who don't fit. Rip the Band-Aid off early and get them the hell away from your team. Because a real team, dude, boils down to the culture. Yeah. And the culture is so important. I used to think that was a corporate buzzword, your culture, whatever. Everybody has a culture. The question is it good or bad? Yeah. So if you don't pay attention to your culture and you're trying to build a team, you're going to be struggling for years, and you're never going to realize what's wrong and why it isn't really clicking the way you think a team should click. Yeah. Because if you build a real team, a good team, it's not going to be everybody that you are, extremely fond of and are similar to. Why? Well, because, dude, if I'm going to build a team, I don't need another Brad Lee. Right. Okay. I need someone who's organized and can execute. Like, I've got all the ideas. I just need someone who can execute. Mm-hmm. So too many people, they want to build a team full of friends and people that are like them. So at the end of the day, I would say focus on the culture, hold everybody accountable to that culture. And that is a good foundation to the team. And then don't be afraid to let people leave and or push people away. Yeah. Yeah. Like, very sound advice. Yeah. Like you have to take those core values very seriously, and everybody has to live by them. And when you do that, you're going to lose some people you wish you had, your top salespeople. Oh, they would have made me a bunch of money. If you have a crystal ball, man, they're going to cost you a bunch of money. Trust me. I've gotten rid of top salespeople before because they were pissing off all the other people, and everyone's like, so what? He's the best salesperson. Well, guess what? The best salesperson pissed off 6 pretty good salespeople, and collectively, the top salesperson didn't outproduce the loss of the brain damage that they were causing. I got rid of the top salesperson. Why? Because that's not our core values. We're building a team here. This is a team sport, and guess what? Boom. The sales went up. We sold more than we ever have just by getting rid of the top salesperson. Yeah.
Sorry, guys listening. I recognize he's talking about a company team, and you might be building your own inner little team or maybe you're even on the same level with these people that are doing different aspects of the multifamily business, but the same things still apply. If you're and maybe instead of your core values. It's instead of your business core values, it's your personal core values, and you make sure you're aligned there. And like he said, you definitely don't want, two Brad Lees. You don't want two of you. You need complementing skill sets where you're strong and they're strong in different things. That's what you need to be looking for. Well, but we're talking about great advice, which you're giving here. What's the best advice you've ever received, buddy?
Best advice I've ever received.
Or a couple, might be more than one, but just like, wow, that's really insightful.
Well, I mean, I was thinking more like, don't eat there. Trust me. But as far as life advice goes, I think my best advice is ultimately don't worry about other people's opinion.
Yeah.
I forgot who said it, but somebody said other people's opinion of me is none of my business.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good
one.
That's really,
too many. Yeah, too many people are worried about other people's judgment. They fear the judgment of others. And I think the best advice I've ever received is, don't worry about the judgment of others. Like, focus more on the judgment of yourself. Like, dude, self-worth and self-value is so important. If you actually want to succeed and build anything, it's unbelievably important. And I got that advice, a long time ago. And ultimately, I would say it's the single best piece of advice ever.
I have to agree. Actually, I have to agree. People really don't care that much about you anyway. So worrying about what they think is just a waste of your time. Frankly, they care about themselves, and people think that they care, but they don't. Do you have a favorite quote?
Yep, my own.
What is it?
You can't get rich making poor choices.
Oh, I like it. So why do you think most people fail at business, at life, at sales, at anything? Why do you think they fail?
Well, I think there's a combination of reasons, but mostly they fail because they don't do it long enough.
Mm-hmm. They give up 3 feet from the goal. Yeah.
They don't do it long enough, man. Consistency. Yeah. Listen, when I started Lightspeed, which does, 8 figures, soon to be 9.
Nice.
It was 8 years before I started making any money. And I believed the entire time that things were turning around in 90 days. If I hadn't believed every 90 days that, man, I'm 3 months away from blowing up, I probably wouldn't have lasted 8 years. But I went 8 years with no money. I was way ahead of our time. An interactive online training system, Rod, in 99, the internet just came out. Nobody was training online. Nobody thought it would work. I spent 8 years convincing people that it would work before I really started making any money. Most people would have given up. The reason most people fail is because they don't put any consistent belief and effort. Now, if that's not the reason, the only other reason would be the lack of their mindset. I mean, ultimately, the mindset's so important, dude. I developed these gauges that I drive it through life with. Just like the gauges on your car. When your car starts sputtering and doing crazy crap, the first thing people do is look at the gauges. What's going on? Am I out of gas? What's happening? So anytime I'm having trouble in my life, I look at my gauges. Well, my gauges, number one, is mindset. Because if you don't believe, there's the problem. So the mindset's always core. Okay. The mindset leads to the map. The map is, do you have clarity on where you're going and what you're doing? If you're buzzing around and there's issues, ask yourself, do I know where I'm going? A lot of times people are like, not really, there's not really much clarity. Okay, get clear. There's your problem. Okay. The third one is motions, the actions that you take, the habits that you form. What are they? Because if you have a clear picture of where you're going, every day, your motions, the actions you take, will tell you if you're moving towards or away. Well, if you're moving away, change course, change. But at the end of the day, most people aren't doing that, which leads to the fourth one, which is measurement. That gauge to me tells me, am I measuring the right things? Because what doesn't get measured doesn't get managed. Performance measured is performance improved. So at the end of the day, what am I measuring? Am I measuring the right elements? And then the last one is my money. Where's my money going? Because once you get those 4 gauges all working, you totally believe it. You're totally clear. You're doing the right things. You're measuring the right things. You're going to make money.
Yeah.
Well, what are you doing with that money?
Mm.
Because I spent years making and spending millions of dollars that you cannot get back. And let me tell you something. There's a lot of people, Rod, you know more about this than most as well. And I'm not saying this about you, even though you do have your own story on that. People have made millions of dollars and then lost it somehow.
Yeah.
And that's my money gauge. Like, you wouldn't have lost your money if you knew then what you know now, correct?
No question.
So that's my money gauge. Like, if I'm having a problem, I'm going to look through those gauges. Is it my mindset? Am I clear? Am I making the right motion? Am I taking the right actions? Am I measuring the right things? And where am I putting my money? If you monitor those things and get them all, going good, dude, your cruise through life is going to be amazing.
Wow. That was incredible clarity, brother. Incredible clarity. I really am impressed with that what you just articulated, because that really applies to anything, any business. Certainly this multifamily business, you're going to have KPIs and things you need to be measuring. All of you need to know where it is you're headed. That was very, very clear. I didn't have a chance to write it down, but I will make sure that that's in the show notes, guys. So, a couple last final questions. What did you have to give up to get what you have today? Did you have to sacrifice anything? Did you have to give anything up?
Yeah, I'm certain,
Yeah.
But I can't really tell you what it is other than in general, because I don't look at it that way. I mean,
okay.
I believe.
I mean, did your family, were you away from them a lot? Were you
absolutely
distant? Were you not present? Any regret about any of that? I mean, just go down. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all that,
Okay.
I have 3 sets of kids.
Wow.
The first set, I wasn't even around at all. I, had them very young, 17 years old. The second set, I was building a business, and, it cost me a marriage, and, I was stupid, young, immature, stuff like that. And my third set, now I'm home and I'm doing the right thing. So I got 3 tries at being a good parent. And I think I finally got it. However, I don't regret it to a point where it's like, oh, I'm depressed. But yeah, I mean, if I could go back and spend more time with my boys or more time with my older girls, 100% I would have changed it.
Yeah.
The problem is you can't change the past. So I don't look backwards. I don't say boo hoo. I say, moving forward, what can I do to improve? So when it comes to, sacrifices, remember this: if you don't sacrifice for what you want becomes the sacrifice.
Yeah. Great.
You're going to sacrifice no matter what. The question is can you navigate what's most important? So if you get your priorities straight, yes, you're going to sacrifice. Of course, you're going to sacrifice. The question is to what degree?
Yeah.
You're the one that gets to decide. That's the beautiful part.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And I've seen some pictures and videos of you with your kids now. And is it a daughter, I think, is it? Or
I have 2 little girls.
2 little girls. That's it. Yeah. Beautiful. Love it. So last question. This has really been awesome, by the way. Really enjoyed this personally. Knowing what you know now, what would you, if you went back to your 18, 20-year-old self, what might you do differently?
Invest money more wisely and seek knowledge faster.
Even more. Yeah. Okay.
Well, because when I was young, like I said, I just started really engaging in self-development and learning like 3, 4, 5 years ago,
Wow.
Rod.
Wow.
Like, dude, I didn't read a book for my entire life. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't need you to tell me anything. Like, I can figure it out. Like, I'm not interested.
How old are you now?
51.
Oh, you're 51. Wow, you look great, man. I was gonna thought you were in your 30s. Seriously, I'm not exaggerating. Well, listen, don't feel bad. I was 40. I was 40 when I finally got the memo that there were other people in life besides Rod. You know, it was all focus on Rod, show the world I'm good enough, show the world I matter, you know, and so don't feel bad, brother. I'm right there with you. Well, listen, I really appreciate you sharing your knowledge today, buddy. It's been a lot of fun for me because this is a topic that, you know, the things you've talked about are just like crack cocaine for me, man. So really appreciate having you on, and it's been a lot of fun, and look forward to, you know, getting to know you more and seeing you again. And I know you're in Vegas, so definitely be coming out to hang out one of these days.
Well, Rod, I can't wait to have you on my podcast.
Oh, that's right. Guys, check out his Dropping Bombs podcast. It really is dropping bombs. So check it out. Also, he's got, what's the closing? What is it? Closer School or what?
Yeah. Closerschool.com, man. That's where I can show anybody how to be persuasive.
Yeah. By the way, guys, it's very, very reasonable. I was very impressed from what I saw on the website. In fact, I'm probably going to get it myself. And because you can't know too much about sales and influence. So I don't really promote stuff on this podcast, but I'm very, very impressed with what Brad's doing and what he's got going. So, you know, I would highly recommend you check it out.
Thanks, Rod.
My pleasure, brother. It was very much. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just so you know, it doesn't only teach you how to close and sell and persuade. It teaches you, believe it or not, how to be a better human. We work on the self a lot in Closer School, because I think if you're really truly trying to be, you know, excellent at something, and you're not really, you don't value yourself, it makes it 10 times more difficult. So believe it or not, we don't just make better closers, we make better humans.
Love it. Love it. Love it. That's completely agree. All right, brother. Well, listen, enjoyed it very much, and I'm sure we'll talk again real soon.
Likewise. Thanks, Rod.
Right,
see you.
Thanks.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step, and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 41411. That's mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 41411.